I'm going to interrupt you for just a moment. We've got breaking news coming out of California. Apparently, this decision has been overturned by a federal court. Decision has been overturned is the preliminary information that I'm getting. I'm going to my computer now. I'm being told frantically by my producers it should be there. In the meantime, let's go to Dan Simon. He's outside the courthouse. Dan, do some reporting for us.
Well, Rick, I'm told by a CNN producer who's upstairs in the clerk's office here at the Federal District Courthouse that Proposition 8 has been found to be unconstitutional, meaning that Proposition 8 is effectively overturned. What that means in the short term, we don't really know. We don't know if that means that sex couples can resume getting married in the state of California. We still need to look at the documents to figure out how it immediately affects same-sex couples here in the state of California. But this is a huge victory for same-sex marriage supporters, a huge victory for everyone who wanted to see Proposition 8 overturned. As we've been reporting from the very beginning, this is just one stop in a very long legal highway, if you will. Ultimately, this is going to be appealed. But in the meantime, this is exactly what same-sex supporters wanted. They wanted to get a victory here in Federal District Court, and apparently they got one, according to our producer, who is looking at the documents right now on the 18th floor of the courthouse. He's going to run those documents down, and we hope to read them for you on the air.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, here's what I'm hearing. While you were doing that report, I was just hearing from my producer, Andreas, who told me that it's not on the web as we expected, that the information is in document form, and they gave it to some of the producers that we have inside the building behind where Dan is right now. A lot of reaction is going to be coming in on this. Let me just set this up for you guys at home, okay? It's a very, very important decision that has just been reached that will likely have repercussions throughout the United States and may be going all the way past this court, possibly to as far as the Supreme Court. Why? Because this thing has been long in coming. The last part of this, the last step in this process prior to today was when 52% of the people living in California, that doesn't mean all of the people in California, as many of you have reminded me on Twitter, but 52% in this referendum decided that same-sex marriage was not legal, that it should only be between a man and a woman. Since then, it's been challenged again and again, and it finally got to this federal level with this court. And now this judge has come back and said, sorry, you can't make a decision that seems to disallow this type of marriage. Folks are saying, and I'm hearing you on Twitter, thousands of you, including people like Ellen DeGeneres, saying, look, this is about equality. That's what this is. This is about equality. You'll hear that argument again and again. Some folks on the other side are saying, no, we are against this proposition. It's been called Prop 8. You've been hearing a lot about it. Let me go back to Dan Simon. Let me ask my producers while we're doing that if we can hook up once again. Let's see if we can get Gloria Borger back on. Let's see if we can get Kendall Coffey back on. Gloria Borger's back with us as well. Gloria, if you're there, your preliminary reaction to this decision.
Right. Well, when I see that the judge ruled that Prop 8 is unconstitutional under both the due process and equal protection clauses, that is exactly what Ted Olson and David Boies wanted to hear, because they argued this specifically on the grounds that Proposition 8 violated the Equal Protection Clause in the way that segregation violated civil rights, in the same way that laws against interracial marriage violated civil rights. So I would say that this is exactly what they want to hear, and that, of course, this will be appealed to the Ninth Circuit. But I think you'd have to say that this is a large victory for Ted Olson and David Boies.
Ted Rowlands is standing by now. He's in Los Angeles. He's going to be monitoring some of the reaction that's going to likely pour out into the streets throughout the course of the next several hours. I imagine that there are going to be some people there who are going to be celebrating tonight, Ted.
Absolutely, Rick, and it's funny the way this is, just now starting to trickle because of CNN's reporting. We sort of announced it, but people have been monitoring their Blackberries throughout West Hollywood here. We're at the Abbey, which is an institution, a gay bar that's been around for about 20 years, and people here are just starting to get the word. Your initial reaction, we were talking earlier about this whole thing, and now that it's come down, what do you think?
I think it's excellent. It's an overruling of an overruling. It's back to where the law should be. I think it's a gay issue, and I know everyone in the world, everyone in this country can vote, but I think it's a gay issue, and I think that heterosexual people should defer to the homosexual population and say, what do you guys want to do? And that's what we want to do. So.
All right. Well, I don't know that will ever happen, but everybody will have a vote. These folks that just found out the news as well. You're from San Francisco. Your thoughts?
I think it's great. The more we can do to get marriage recognized legally, equality, the more we can do for equality on a legal level, on a federal level, is great. So as this goes forward, I hope it just gets better.
A lot of same-sex couples, obviously, in this area of Los Angeles, Rick, and so there's a lot of interest in this area. Your thoughts? A lot of people have been talking a lot of people were very pessimistic, Rick, before we got to this decision. But boy, at this time, it looks like the federal courts at least agree with the idea of same-sex marriage, or at least agree that it should not be banned by the state of California.
Right. No, it's huge. I'm super excited. It's a step in the right direction. We just need to keep moving forward with it. I mean, it shouldn't even really be an issue, and the fact that we have to have these conversations are sad, but this is really great news.
Right. Initial reaction, Rick, it's a bit tempered, as we talked about before. Everybody's well aware of the fact that this is the first step in a long process, likely going to the Supreme Court, but you can bet there'll be a lot of celebrating here in this area, at least tonight. So where the word travels, and there. Yeah.
Ted, just wondering, where are you? I mean, I don't mean specifically block by block, but what part of L.A. are you in that would garner that kind of
We're in West Hollywood.
Reaction? West Hollywood, okay.
West Hollywood, yeah, and specifically we're at the Abbey, which is their slogan is 20 years and still raising the gay bar. So this is an institution here in West Hollywood.
So where would the
obviously a lot of opinions on one side?
No, we get that, and that's why let's just be real transparent about it. Where are the 52% who voted against what this judge has ruled today? I imagine they're just you know the state, you cover it every day. Are they just in different parts? Is it more of a suburban opinion? How is this usually broken down?
Well, it's historically the right is more in Orange County in Southern California, and then throughout the state, California, if you drive 100 miles either way, you're going to be in a vastly different area, and the pockets, I mean, you could walk a few streets away from here and a few miles and head towards Beverly Hills, and you may have a little bit different opinion. It is really 52% to 48 was the vote on Prop 8. Latest polls show it's closer to almost 50-50, maybe even leaning towards same-sex. So it's a very divisive and very close issue here. A lot of people are going to be pleased here. A lot of other people are going to be very bitter and disappointed by this decision as well, and are at this moment as this news travels. Interesting. Good stuff there, Ted. Way to hustle and get some reaction to this here for us on Rick's List. Okay, so the decision is essentially the overturning of this referendum that had been passed in California. Let's go to Kendall Coffey now. He is apparently back on the horn with us. Kendall, I haven't seen the document myself, so our reporting is based on secondary and tertiary sources that have seen the document. CNN producers have apparently upstairs in the building. Have you seen the actual filing yet?
Haven't seen it, but Rick, as you talked about throughout the show, this is just the first document. The appeals court will have its own way of describing its solution, its answer to the questions. And at the end of the day, if this gets to the Supreme Court, they have already decided a couple cases that are going to bear heavily on this, one of which overturned a Colorado Amendment number 2, which banned which basically provided for anti-gay discrimination, public employment, things like that, not treating the subject of marriage. Another case that supported allowing the Boy Scouts to exclude gays. Two big Supreme Court cases. However this one is written, if the Supremes get it, it's going to talk about the Colorado case and the New Jersey case with the Boy Scouts. And don't be surprised if Justice Anthony Kennedy, who authored the Colorado opinion, which found an equal protection violation with respect to an anti-gay amendment number 2 in Colorado. Don't be surprised if he ends up being the deciding justice on this if it gets to the Supremes.
Let me clear a couple of things up, and I want to get to the question of application with you in just a moment. But first of all, just to back up what I said a little while ago when I said that we have secondary and tertiary confirmation of this story, what I meant to say was, and I may have misspoken, I could have been a little more artful, our producers are inside that building. They have seen the document themselves. So it's not a source that told our producers. They've actually seen it. We haven't just been able yet to get the actual document down in Dan Simon's hands so he can read it to us. And as soon as he gets it, then we'll turn that around for you. Just wanted to be very clear and very transparent. Now, to the question of application, and let me bring you back into this, Kendall. Does this decision today effectively change the way things are done vis-a-vis marriage in the state of California? Does it mean that tomorrow a man and a man can get married, or a woman and a woman can get married, or not?
I assume it will. We haven't seen it. You haven't seen it. Your producers probably haven't had time to digest it even. But this judge certainly has the power to make that order effective immediately. And depending upon what the reaction of those supporting the amendment is, could be emergency appeals. Remember what we saw last week with respect to Arizona, Rick? A decision comes down, striking down a measure in Arizona with plenty of public support. That one's off to the races in the Ninth Circuit. This one may very well follow a similar track, seeking appellate review, perhaps at the federal appeals court level, perhaps beyond that.
Hey, Kendall, we've got somebody on the line now who you're very familiar with, and I'm sure you're very familiar with his work. He's been a frequent guest here on CNN. You've seen him as well and seen much of his writing. Erwin Cherminsky is one of the nation's most renowned constitutional lawyers. He's the dean of the UC Irvine School of Law, constitutional attorney, doctor of law, joins us from Irvine, California now by phone. Doctor, how important is this decision from a constitutional standpoint? And you know these courts. Was your expectation that this court would rule that way?
It's very important because it's the first court that's found that the prohibition on same-sex marriage violates the United States Constitution. The prior decisions in Massachusetts, Iowa, even California, all found that the prohibition on same-sex marriage violated the state constitution. The fact that this is about the U.S. Constitution means it's now reviewed by the United States Supreme Court. And I think everyone predicted that this was going to be the outcome. All who followed the trial in San Francisco thought that it was pretty clear that the judge was going to come to this conclusion.
Why is that?
I think the judge's questions and closing argument indicated that he just wasn't persuaded by the arguments on the other side. Or to put it another way, in order for him to uphold this, he would have to find that there's some legitimate government interest in keeping gays and lesbians from being able to marry. And I don't think he ever found that the supporters of Prop 8 were able to articulate a persuasive, legitimate interest.
How is this decision going to be similar to the civil rights decisions that we've dealt with in our nation's history? Questions about equality for women, the right to vote, civil rights during the 1960s, emancipation, going down the list. Will this reach that threshold, Doctor?
The difference is this is a federal district court. The decisions you were alluding to were United States Supreme Court decisions. There's still a long way before this case gets to the Supreme Court, and it's, of course, uncertain what the Supreme Court will do with it once it's there.
Is there any question in your mind that this case is headed with a bullet right to the Supreme Court, as they say in the music industry?
It's headed to the United States Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit, and then what happens after that is going to depend on many things. A few weeks ago, a federal district court in Massachusetts struck down the Federal Defense of Marriage Act. That could make it first to the Supreme Court, and that could be the place where the Supreme Court rules on this issue. Also, if the Ninth Circuit were to reverse the district court, were to hold Prop 8, maybe the Supreme Court wouldn't take it. So the bullet's going to be to the Ninth Circuit. After that, it's still too soon to say.
Is this a question, as I'm hearing here, I'm reading people who are madly sending me tweet after tweet, people on one side of this issue that are using one word and one word an awful lot, and that is equality. They say this is a question of equality, equality, equality. Did that conversation come up during the dicta that's been released or that you've seen from the court?
I'm at the disadvantage that the decision has not been publicly released yet. We know that the judge has announced it in the courtroom, and that's what we're relying on. I have not read the decision, but I can tell you that the lawyers who were challenging Prop 8 emphasized equality, that gays and lesbians should have marriage equality, just like heterosexuals have always had.